In this world, the so-called witches exist. They possessed unimaginable abilities and were thus deemed as the incarnation of evil. Our protagonist Chenyan, who was a modern-day engineer, crossed into a body of a medieval prince, who devoted his life to merging modern industrial technology and the magical abilities witches possessed to build a strong kingdom where he meets his witch harem. The story begins with Chenyan feeling someone calling him, tapping him on the shoulder and whispering in his ears, "Wake up, Your Highness, wake up." He heard, slowly opening his eyes, waking up confused, not knowing where he is, sitting on a cold metallic chair, in his very own eye, sees a strange landscape, with small wooden and brick houses, and a bunch of people standing together and chanting something he couldn't quite understand. The memory in his brain seems to be connected suddenly. He is in the body of Roland Wimbledon, the fourth prince from the kingdom of Grey Castle, introducing us to the fight for the throne decree, created by Roland's father, a decree to decide who will become the successor of the throne. All 5 of his children are assigned a task, sending them to 5 different territories, and evaluate based on their abilities to govern during 5 years. He then will decide who becomes his successor. Chenyan, from now on, we will refer to him as Roland. Roland soon realized this is not a real-time strategy video game. It was not a fair competition, since the starting conditions of everyone is not equal. The story then briefly introduces us to the 4 other princes and princesses. The first prince possesses extremely high martial strength but a muscle head. The second prince is ultra-wealthy but insidious. The third princess, whose military strength and commanding attribute is over the root, also very ferocious. Moving on to the youngest princess, highly intelligent, beautiful but quiet. Last but not least, our protagonist, Roland, the fourth prince, spends all his time drinking and indulging in pleasure, and loves courting death. He was assigned to this border town where a bird wouldn't even want to poop at, an underdeveloped town with a low population, poor, and where excrement is casually dumped around. Roland covers his head, understanding how terrible of a spot he's in. Before he finished his thoughts, a body of old men, with faces full of gray hair, urged Roland to start the execution. Roland looked around, and he sees people standing at the center square, all looking towards one place. It was the gallows, a medieval instrument used to execute criminals. On the gallows, a hemp rope was tied on top of a person who was wearing a dirty gray shirt and had her hands tied behind her, with her slightly raised chest, long blonde hair, and skinny frame. Not hard to tell it was a female, shivering on the stand while the wind blew past her hair. Roland condemned such behavior in his mind, can't believe what he is witnessing. Not understanding why would people do such a stupid thing. "Release that witch," Roland yelled loud and clear, leaving his minister, his guard, and the residents in shock. Roland tried to play it off by saying he was tired. He wanted to do the execution another day. Suddenly, Roland's chief knight named Carter tried to dissuade Roland to continue carrying out the execution. Since the identity of the witch has already been confirmed, she must be killed. Afraid of other witches might come and rescue her. Roland, looking at the knight, thinks in his mind, a knight whose arm is bigger than an average person's torso is afraid of girls half his size. How ridiculous. Roland walked away, saying, it's better to attract a few more witches so they can catch them all together. Without explaining further, Roland headed back to his dilapidated castle, shutting his door and sighed. Roland finally had the time to process what was going on. He must have died from overworking and got crossed into this world. Roland soon overcame the fear of transitioning into an unfamiliar world, accepted his identity as Roland, and decided to dig for more information about this world. Later that day, Roland and Carter, the chief knight, slowly climbed down the stairs, arriving at the bottom of the border town's prison. Carter continuously warns about the danger of a witch, but Roland simply taunted him, saying how could his chief knight be scared of a girl. Moments later, they arrived at the bottom of the prison. This was a small cell, covered with thick metal bars. In the cell, a girl curled up in the corner, wearing the same dirty thin gray shirt, had her hands tied behind her back. She stood up, staring directly at Roland. Roland blushed as he saw how beautiful the young lady was. She had light blue eyes, calm like a lake. He couldn't see any fear, anger, or hatred in her eyes. Roland asked her to walk closer so he can have a closer look. Carter immediately jumped in front of Roland, demanding her to not walk close and warning them again how dangerous a witch is. Roland tapped on Carter's shoulder and told him to calm down. Roland then asked to hear the witch's story. She then explained, her name is Anna, and his father used to work in the mine, but the mine collapsed, and he was trapped inside. A mine worker seized the opportunity and stole away the valuables on him. It was caught red-handed by a neighbor couple of Anna. The thief then charged at the neighbor couple with a pickaxe, knocking him down. And just as he tried to kill the neighbor, Anna awakened her ability, killing and scorched the thief. They later saved Anna's father from the mine, and Anna begged the neighbor to not report her. Roland interrupted Anna, and from the look of it, the neighbor must have reported her. Turns out, it was Anna's father who reported her. The minister again urged Roland to execute her after hearing Anna's confession. Roland declined and was curious about the witch's powers. After hearing what Roland said, Anna started laughing, ridiculing Roland, and questioning him. "You want to see what you guys so-called power of the devil?" Roland was unmoved and demanded to see the power. Anna was wearing a locket that seals the power of witches. Anna was surprised by Roland's bravery. Standing tall, stared directly at Roland's eye and told him his curiosity might get him killed. Before Anna can finish her sentence, Roland reached his hand towards the locket and tore it apart. The locket. Anna looked stunned. She was startled looking at Roland as Roland threw the broken locket behind him and told Anna to show her power again. Seconds later, warmth filled the cell as a spark of flame rises underneath Anna's bare feet, bursting into dazzling lights. Roland was amazed. At the same time, he could not comprehend how did this happen. Was this chemistry, some sort of technology, or actual magic? Instantaneously, Anna slowly walked towards the cell gate. The flames are so hot, they melted the metallic bar into liquid form. Carter quickly rushed in front of Roland, trying to protect him. Roland shockingly looks at the melted metal bars, amazed by the power of witches, finally understanding why people are so afraid of them. Anna burns the rope tied behind her back and raised her hand, walking closer and closer to Roland. Moments later, the flames disappeared, as if nothing ever happened, other than the steam and the smell of burning metals. Roland finally confirmed that magic really exists in this world. He was not in fear. He was not scared. Rather, he is extremely excited, thinking how Anna's power can be utilized on so many things: steam engines, steel smelting, casting irons, and crafting modern tools. Anna looked at him, telling Roland she has fulfilled his curiosity. Now, kill her already. Looking at the fragile but strong girl, who barely has clothes on, Roland took off his jacket and threw it onto Anna, holding his hands out, and confidently said he had decided to hire Anna. After seeing the power of Anna, Roland immediately thought of the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the state of entropy of the entire universe, as an isolated system, will always increase over time. But in this world, with the power of magic, this problem can easily be solved, and this is even more impressive than the invention of the perpetual motion machine. The minister was in great shock after hearing Roland wanted to hire a witch. Roland didn't want to explain himself, immediately demanding the minister to have an employment contract drafted, also telling the minister to arrange a place for Anna to live in. Upon leaving the prison, Roland returned to his residence. The minister did not give up convincing him how dangerous the witches are, and told Roland's behavior is too risky. Roland interrupted the minister and told him he does not view witches as demons or monsters. He then said, "We have no money, we have no army, we have nothing. And for him to be able to compete with his fellow brother and sisters, he needs witches to help him, and people should stop their prejudice against witches." The minister was astounded by Roland's speech. Roland then asked the minister to bring Anna to see him. Meanwhile, Anna was being bathed by two maids. After cleaning her, the maid brought out a work outfit for Anna to try on. Anna was a bit shy after seeing the weird outfit, but still decided to put it on. Outside the residence, a maid is leading Anna toward Roland. Roland and Carter are looking at a wooden shack, which they built for Anna to practice smelting. Moments later, Anna arrived shortly. Upon seeing Anna in her new outfit, Roland was dazed, seeing Anna with her long silky, lustery shining hair, milky-like skin, a beautiful bloom look, slim but proportional body. Lightly blushed as she looked towards Roland. Roland was indeed sure about his decision. He thought that the normal worker's outfit is too boring, and the magician's robes are too bulky, but the maid's outfit is perfect for Anna, and asked why is Roland treating her this well, even signing a contract with her. As memory flashes in her head, how terribly everyone was treating her after knowing she was a witch. Roland once again put his hand out and confidently said he does not believe in those crap. He trusts Anna and believes in her power. Something sparked in Anna's eye as she lays her hand on top of Roland's hand. holding his hand and promising to assist Roland and learn how to control and use her power. In the wooden shack, the room is filled with steam. Anna breathing heavily. Anne was practicing controlling her ability. After failing numerous times, flames continued to rise from her feet, soon expanding and covering her entire body. Whoosh! All of a sudden, Anna lost control of the fire, and her clothes were burnt again. Suddenly, they heard a loud knock on the door, followed by Carter and the minister sprinting towards the shack and reporting that a patrolling squad have reported traces of demonic beasts. Everyone was shocked and worried, including Anna, but this left Roland confused.
From now on, we will refer to the minister by his real name. Barkov frankly opened the door and reported to Roland, informing him, "The month of the demon is coming soon." The month of demon? Roland thought for a moment, slowly remembering this phrase, but still confused. Roland looked towards Anna. Anna seemed frightened, and from the look of her, Roland recognized the seriousness of the situation. Barkov then explained that the month of the demon occurs during winter time after the first snowfall. The sun would become faint and dim, then the gates connected to hell within the mountain will then open. Unfortunately, the border town does not have the capability to defend, thus the residents of the border town must migrate to the nearest stronghold, which is the Canggu stronghold. Barkov also reassured Roland that his safety will always be a priority. Roland asked Barkov if he have seen the gate of hell before. Barkov frankly replied, "It's impossible for an ordinary person to see it. The Long G mountain is impossible to climb over, and going near the mountain will also be influenced by the evil aura, causing nausea and potentially making a man goes mad and lose its consciousness. Unless..." Barkov paused. Roland asked him to go on. Barkov looked at Anna then said, "Unless that person is a witch, only witches can see the gate of hell, because they are already infected." After hearing what Barkov said, Roland wasn't pleasant but continued asking about the demonic beast. Because this was also the first time Barkov had been to the border town, he had not seen any demonic beasts before and thus can't answer most of Roland's questions. After gathering the basic info, Roland started to organize his thoughts. If the residents here need to migrate every year, then it's impossible for the town to grow. Since Canggu stronghold are able to defend against the demonic beast, that means the beasts can be defeated. Since they are not invincible, why can't we defeat them here in the border town? Barkov started sweating nervously and frankly told Roland, "Unlike Changji stronghold, we don't have the big tall walls or the elite troops guided by Duke Ryan." Roland frowned his brows and sneered, finally understanding that the border town was built at this exact location for one sole purpose only, that is to be used as an alarm warning the stronghold. If Roland wanted to properly develop the border town, he must have his roots here. He can ignore all obstacles, but he needs the people to stay here. He then ordered Barkov to bring all the local guards, hunters, and farmers to him. Roland added a few conditions. First, they must have been living here for more than 5 years. 2, prefer those who have experienced the month of demon, or have fought against the demonic beasts before. After issuing the order, Roland and Anna went to the backyard garden to enjoy some dessert. This was the first time Anna have ever had such an exquisite cake. While Anna is slowly and carefully chewing on the cake, Roland asked Anna to tell him more about the month of the demon. Anna lowered her brow and slowly explained what an average peasant experience is like during this terrifying time. People like Anna and her father would have to start to migrate towards the stronghold, transporting their yearly harvest to exchange for food and gold. The stronghold will set up a temporary refugee camp for them to stay in. The length of the demon month may vary, some lasting as long as 4 months. But the officials in the stronghold told them their harvest is only enough for 3 months of supplies. Because of the lack of food and supplies, a lot of bullying occurred where weaker people's food would be forcefully taken away, and these people couldn't make it, thus dying. Anna started to tear up, seeing that. Roland reckoned that it must have been very difficult for her. Since her father, before Roland could finish his sentence, Anna told him his father was still protective of her during that time. A moment of silence between the two. Moments later, Anna lightly said, "It was 25 gold, referring to the gold offered as a reward reporting a witch. She then followed up by saying, her father just wanted to continue living. Upon hearing what Anna said, Roland was furious, as he slammed the table and promised Anna, what she said will never happen here in the border town ever again. He slowly walked towards his office and demanded to see Barkov. Alongside Barkov, there were 3 men, 2 of them were guards, and 1 local hunter. The 2 guards are the patrol captain in charge of the fire beacon every year. alarming nearby stronghold about the attack of the demonic beasts, and this hunter, a tall muscular man with blue hair and a giant scar across his face, claimed not only he have fought a demonic beast before, but he has also slain 2 of them. Roland nodded his head and told the 3 men to introduce themselves one by one. The younger guard was extremely nervous when talking to Roland, probably the first time seeing a prince up close. He stuttered as he spoke, telling Roland that when it started to snow, they will light up the fire beacon in the tower in the north side mine when they see the demonic beast surge past the forest, then sprint back using a secret passway. Roland pointed to the other guard, asking him from now on, he will be the one answering the questions, asking how they look and whether they can be killed. The other guard was also nervous, seemingly sweating coming out of his helmet, but at least he didn't stutter. He then replied by telling Roland that the demonic beasts are just normal animals that were infected by the evil aura, making them unusually mad and aggressive, but they can still be killed. The cavalry team from the Canggu stronghold would always be sent out to clear out some of the remnants. Suddenly the hunter stumped his feet, kneeling on one of his knees and shouting, "They are nothing formidable." He grinned as he proudly said he had killed 2 demonic beasts before. Even Roland was astonished by the aura given out by the hunter, well over 7 feet tall. Barkov on Roland's side introduced the hunter. His name is Axe, and the reason why he is this tall is that there's a rumor saying that he possesses the bloodline of the Majin giants. Axe then talked about the 2 demonic beasts he killed. One was a wild boar species and the other was a wolf species, which can be defined by its origin before being infected by the evil aura. The infected species will gain traits that empower them, which makes them quite difficult to deal with, but they are not the real problem. The real problem is the mixed species. As Axe lifted his shirt and showed a massive wound ranged from his shoulders down to his lower torso, covering a quarter of his body. These mixed species are not only ferocious, but they also hold some level of intelligence. Axe encountered one before and was extremely lucky to survive by jumping into the nearby river before he fainted. After getting all the information he needed, Roland stood up and told everyone that he had decided to stay at the border town. Carter and Barkov are shocked, and Carter once again activated his chatterbox, spitting words at the speed of light, informing Roland this decision is too dangerous. He cannot let Roland put himself in such great danger. Roland stopped him, asking what if Roland give him a wall. Carter got a little angry and told Roland to not fool around. Building a wall in less than 4 months is an impossible task. Roland understands it's difficult to let Carter believe what he said. He simply told Carter, "Don't conclude so quickly. If he doesn't see a reliable wall by the end of 3 months, he will retreat to the stronghold." After hearing Roland's response, Carter finally rests assured, kneeling on the ground and oath his life to protect Roland. Here we are, at the Baishuei port in the Grey Castle, introducing a woman. As a cool ocean breeze blew past her hair, as the sea beats against the shore, a woman wearing an eye patch, dressing like a pirate from One Piece, asking his men about the situation of her fleet. The subordinate replied, telling her the fleet should return in 3 days. This assertive woman is Garcia Wimbledon, the 3rd child of the king from the Grey Castle. She has been training and setting up her fleet years before the king announced the provision. Her temperament and beauty do not affect her intelligence, training her army long before the provision showed how wise her foresight was. She was able to quickly build up her army with elite soldiers, experienced sailors, and plenty of wealth from the long years of sea exploration, making her one step before her fellow brothers and sister. Garcia had an evil plan ruled out, sending spies to her siblings and finding an opportunity to assassinate them. It was no surprise that the 3 siblings were able to find out the spy and killed them, but she was surprised how her useless 4th brother was able to live after swallowing a poison pill. She got a letter from the spy indicating that she saw Roland swallow the poison pill in front of her very own eyes. Here in someone's memory, we see Anna sitting on a field surrounded by goats, and pastor-dressed men walking towards Anna, asking what book Anna is currently reading. This man is Anna's teacher. His name is Carl Van Bate. Then, the memory shattered into pieces like a mirror, followed by Carl in a crowd, witnessing the hanging of Anna. This caused massive anxiety and stress, and Carl is tortured by these scenes every day, slowly deteriorating his mind. Carl wakes up, in his office, sweat-soaked his clothes. We found out that the reason why he is in this small border town is that the officials at Grey Castle substituted out the stone materials out of greed, causing a new theater building to collapse, causing more than 3 dozen deaths. They made the association where Carl worked in taking the blame. Carl's eyes turning red, holding his fist tight, a flame of hatred burning through his body, wondering why is a pure soul like Anna is hanged. In the story, Roland told Barkov to swap out Anna with a death penalty criminal to trick the residents that it was Anna whom Roland hanged. Since they had the criminal mouth stuffed and face covered, no one knew Anna is still alive, including Carl, who thinks that Anna is dead. Back to the story. These terrible humans are out there dancing in money and fulfilling their greed. Carl looks out the window disappointed in this kingdom rotting at its core, filled with inequality, heavy taxation, greedy officials who don't value the lives of its citizens, sending an innocent girl onto the gallows. He questions God, what is true evil? Knock knock knock, Carl opened the door and sees a little girl crying. The girl is upset and worried, she feels something wrong with her body, and she is afraid that she will end up like Anna, shivering in fear, and doesn't know what to do. Something clicked in Carl's head, he frowned his brow, looked at the little girl in her eyes and said he will protect her, then patted her on the head. Carl walks on the street, regretting not standing up when his association was blamed, regretting not standing up when Anna is hanged. He cannot have the same thing happen to Manhwa, the name of the little girl we saw earlier. Carl broke his line of thought when he heard someone yelling behind him. He turns around and sees a bunch of people gathering in front of the billboard. Many of them were laughing, sounded like they have just heard the best joke in their life. It was a work notice sent out by Roland. It was a piece of recruitment information, looking for people to build a wall, looking for positions like stone grinders, craftsmen, handymen, and stonemasons. Offering them wages from 12 bronze a day to an astonishing 1 gold per month. Carl was shocked when he sees the last line of the recruitment. It wrote, people who showed excellence will be awarded the position of the official. Carl thought of a rumor passed around in the border town, which is that Roland has a special personality and extremely dislikes the Holy Church. He recalls what he saw during the execution. Roland showed unwillingness to hang Anna. Maybe Roland has a different outlook on witches. This is Carl's last and only hope. On the other side, Carter and Roland are walking and examining the walls. Carter asked Roland how high he wants to build the wall, and Roland said he wants the wall to be at least. Side note, I've converted the measurement from Chinese foot to standardized measurement, which is 5 meters tall and 2 meters wide, big enough for 4 people to walk in together. Carter briefly thought about the blueprint of the wall, calculating how long he needs. Carter said, even with the men Roland gave him, he can only finish the project during the next year's month of the demon. The main problem is to ensure the stability of the wall. The stones must be picked and grounded properly. Roland didn't explain much, but said, cement will surprise Carter. Carter wondered, what is a cement? Moments later, Carter and Roland arrive at the structure Roland recently built, which is the cement burning room. Roland thinks in his head, knowing the raw material to produce cement is common, and he can find everything in the border town, but the temperature is a crucial step. Roland doesn't remember the exact temperature, and no tools or machines to control the temperature, but before Roland finishes his line of thought, the door opens, and heat and steam poured out of the door. Roland told Carter to stay put. Roland walked towards the door, and it stood behind the door, full of specks of dust on her face, and fully naked. Roland handed her his robe and asked Anna, how is everything? Anna didn't let Roland down, and showed Roland the product. It's a pile of gray dust, which looks like cement powder, but it still needs to be tested. Anna is unfamiliar with this material, asking what use it has. Roland listed many uses for cement, like building houses, building bridges, and how a cement house can protect people from the cold and rain, or snow, and is much more durable compared to the houses that average people live in. Complimented Anna for creating such amazing material. Moments later, Roland showed his product to Carter and Anna. Carter was amazed by the product and tried to lift the cement, also trying to pry open the crack. After testing the strength of the cement, Roland told Anna and Carter his ambition. He wants to tell the rest of the kingdom that witches are truly the best waifu. Roland moved on to his actual project. After days of hard work, Anna produced many bags of cement dust, alongside the people Roland have recruited, and the project finally on the right track. Roland himself even went out lowering his status to show the residents how to dig trenches, which raised the morale among the workers, and everyone is working very hard. Although workers are motivated, the project is progressing very slowly, and the trenches looked worse than a sewer. Although Roland used to be an engineer, but not a civil engineer, and he has no idea what to do now. This gives Roland a headache, scratching his head. Meanwhile, Barkov came to report a stonemason was recruited, who used to work at the Grey Castle Stonemason Association. Roland recalls it was a famous association, but got disbanded. Needless to say, he told Barkov to bring the stonemason to see him. It was later in the afternoon, and Roland have returned to his office. Sitting on his side is Anna. She is smiling while reading a book. That frame looked like a work of art in Roland's eye. Roland was dazed, but soon got interrupted by the voice of Carter, telling Roland that the stonemason is there. While the stonemason was showing his respect, Roland cut him off and got straight to the point. Seconds later, the stonemason looked up and saw Anna. He was shocked and can't believe his eyes, calling Anna by her name. This made Carter and Roland stoned and extremely nervous. Anna closed the book and looked up after hearing someone calling her. Roland screamed, telling Carter to block the door and don't let Carl run away. Carter dashed towards the door, putting both his hands out ready to tackle Carl. Carl suddenly kneeled, still unexpected to see Anna. Carl then started repetitively apologizing to Anna but was very thankful to see Anna is alive. From the look of Carl, Roland is at ease, knowing this person is unlikely to harm Anna. Anna stood up, looking worried, explaining and introducing Carl as her teacher. A few minutes later, Carl calmed down. Roland then asked who Carl is. Carl wiped his tear and followed by introducing himself and how he became Anna's teacher. He also looked into Roland's eye, telling him, although he doesn't know why Roland saved a witch, even if it's because Roland wants Anna to serve him on his bed as a concubine, it's still better than killing her. Meanwhile, Carl is also thinking to himself, although he doesn't know what Roland truly wants, at least the rumor is right. If he can also send Nanoa as his concubine, Nanoa will also be safe. He then introduced Nanoa, saying she is also a cute and adorable girl, wondering if Roland can also accept her as a concubine. Carl misunderstood Roland's intention to protect the witches. Roland continued by telling Carl he will call in to see Nanoa if she is really a witch, but he cannot take her away from her original family, especially when there's no trace of actual threat from her family. He followed up by telling Carl he misunderstood him. The reason he saved Anna is not what he thought to be. Roland was happy to know another witch is in his town. Hoping to not let Carl misunderstood him, Roland decided to tell Carl the real truth. Roland thinks the shenanigan talks claiming witches have the evil power of the devil is nothing but nonsense. Roland will protect them at all costs as long as the witches don't commit any crimes. Roland then brings the conversation back regarding the construction of the walls. Although Carl is still a bit speculative, he quickly puts his thought aside, understanding Roland's idea to build a wall to defend against the demonic beasts. Carl then gave some professional advice about the project, so the project begins and Carl is assigned as the leader of the project. The next morning, in the back garden, Roland sat there with a glass of alcohol in his hand. Carter and a young girl slowly approaches. This is Nanoa. She seemed nervous, holding her hands tight on her dress, biting her lips, and shivered as she slowly approaches Roland, looking at Roland with her big crystal eyes, filled with fogs in her eye, asking if she was going to die. Nanoa was indeed adorable, Roland looking at her, trying to hold his laughter, comforting her that she is not going to die. Anna is living well too. Roland then introduced himself as the fourth prince, Roland Wimbledon, asking Nanoa to introduce herself. Realizing she is not going to die, her eyes sparked and fulfilled with happiness, she gladly introduced herself. She is Nanoa Pine. Then immediately ran past Roland holding Anna's hand and started chit-chatting, completely ignoring Roland. Roland took a sip out of his drink and watching the two girls, thinking to himself, Anna is only 17 years old right now, how beautiful will she grow up to be? Seeing the conversation slowly coming to an end, Roland interrupted the two girls, asking Nanoa about her power. After hearing the question, Nanoa got scared again, lowering her voice as she asked if Roland will hang her. Roland assured her that he will not do such a thing, only heinous criminals will be hanged, and he will never do such cruel thing to an adorable girl like Nanoa. Nanoa nodded, as she continued explaining that she heard the rumor saying the witches are cursed after affected by the devil, but she had never seen a devil before. Seeing Nanoa is in a semi-depressed mood, Anna walked up and patted Nanoa, comforting her. Nanoa calmed down and started explaining what happened. She said, about a week ago, she had seen a little bird gets injured and wanted to help the bird, then all of a sudden something came out of her hands. It was in a liquid form, surrounded the bird. Next thing she remembers, the bird is all healed up. After hearing what Nanoa said, Roland's heart skipped a beat. He understands the importance of Nanoa's power. In a time where there's no modern medicine, no antibiotics, and no life support, a small wound can lead to infection and later death. Roland might have just found an amazing treasure. Roland immediately ordered Carter to bring him a live chicken. Roland then asked Nanoa whether she still thinks her power is still evil after knowing her ability to heal animals. Nanoa looked up and told Roland her teacher said witches can do things ordinary people can't do, but it's a trap set by the devil, then followed up saying while holding 3 fingers up, she swears that she had never seen a devil. Roland stated that he believes everything Manhwa said, but the devil thing is nothing but a lie told by the Holy Church, and her teacher is also a victim deceived by these lies. Manhwa asked why would the church lie to its people. Roland shook his head, as he understands how religion works back on Earth. A similar thing happened in history as well. There isn't a proper answer, just purely for one's sole benefit. Moments later, we heard Manhwa holding her hands together. As her face turns red, she lightly said, "Your Highness, please be gentle. It will hurt." Roland smiled, then replied, "It's alright, it will be done in a quick moment."
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
날 보고 있음 음악이 baby 너를 위한 멜로디 yeah 네가 뮤지니까 잘 들어봐 play it